Hello and welcome to ChinnyVision. This time we're going for some realistic 16-bit racing 1989 style. Indianapolis 500, the simulation, was a game released in 1989 by Electronic Arts and developed by a company called Papyrus, originally on the IBM PC for MS-DOS and then about 9 months later on the Amiga. It's a realistic simulation of the 1989 Indianapolis 500 race with all 33 cars and a first-person perspective. The game was kind of a first in a series of racing games by Papyrus. IndyCar Racing from 1993, NASCAR Racing from 94 and IndyCar Racing 2 from 1995. So in the first for ChinnyVision, we're doing direct capture from my Amstrad PC2086 computer. Previously we've done a little bit of capture directly from the screen using a video camera, but this time we're coming directly onto the VGA port. A little bit of a complicated process, it has to be said, because of the various frame rates and things, all the update rates of the screens being 60 Hz and 75 Hz and so on, and getting it down to something that I can actually capture at 50 Hz. So this should be a fairly reasonably accurate capture, but not quite as accurate as my other material. So we're loading the game up. You heard a beeper tune there on the loading screen. There's no sound card in this Amstrad, although one thing I have to say is, although this particular machine came with an 8086 processor, I've actually upgraded it to an NEC V30 processor, which is about 20% or between 10 and 20% faster. It's a direct, it doesn't actually give you faster clock speed, but the processor itself can execute the instructions quicker. So loading this off a floppy disk, and I'm having to capture the audio by having a microphone next to the PC speaker, so that's why it sounds a little bit roomy. And also the floppy disk loading explains why it's so slow loading. Game comes on a single 720k floppy disk. I've downloaded an image from the internet and then copied that to a 720k disk. So it took a little while to do, and it's still loading. There we go. We start off in this TV viewing mode. 3D graphics. The game has several screen modes that it can run in. It automatically picks the best version for your computer, and there's a VGA card in this PC, so we're running in VGA. The anti-copying system's been bypassed there, so I'm going to set up system there. We're going to use auto detect graphics for now. There is sound, but you can go low, medium or high detail. I'll stick with the auto detect and see what that does. We're going to go for qualifying, and there's only one circuit in the game. It's the Indianapolis circuit. And yes, that PC beeper engine noise does get on your nerves very, very quickly. I don't have a joystick here, so I'm running on the keyboard, which is obviously a little bit fiddly. I don't really want to talk about the frame rate too much, because the thing about PCs, unlike a Commodore 64, an Amstrad or a Spectrum, where they're all fixed clock speeds and all your computers are the same, with PCs you could have any configuration. And we're on an 8 MHz NEC V30 processor here. And I can tell you I've timed this at medium detail, and you get about 8 frames a second at medium detail. It's an auto detail at the moment, so I don't really know what it's doing in terms of frame rate. So you can qualify for the game, and I've just skipped forward here and it actually got into a different car, because the biggest thing about the game is the setup of the car. You configure your car in order to get the best times possible. You can configure all 4 tyres because it's IndyCar, and you're going on a one-way circuit, so to speak, always turning left. You can configure your left and your right tyres differently, so you may have, unlike Formula 1 where you have the same type of tyre on each axle, or each side of the car, sorry. In this you can have different tyre types on the left and right, and you can do all sorts of different adjustments, including the fueling and all the rest of it. So we're going to adjust the fuel. I've adjusted the fuel down here for the race, because I'm going to try a 10-lap race, so it's pointless having hundreds of laps worth of, I don't know, hundreds of laps, certainly 50, 60 laps worth of fuel in the engine, or in the car rather, because that weighs down and makes you slower. And you can adjust the drag, you can adjust the suspension, do all sorts of things. And you can spend hours and hours fiddling around trying to make minute improvements to your lap times. But it is an absolutely vital part of the game. In many ways, you'll probably spend more time configuring your car than you will actually doing racing. So I'm just going to hit race here. And I've selected medium detail as well, because I didn't like on the auto detail where it just drops things in and out. Things start disappearing on the side of the track. So on medium detail here, it's running about 8 frames a second. And I'm at the back of the grid because I haven't done full qualifying. Because I wanted to, when we come to look at the Amiga version, start from the same place on the grid. And that's gone badly already. Right, okay. Let's start again. Right, off we go. Right, so going down the straight. You can't take on any damage on the 10-lap race. If you go for the full 200 laps, or in fact some of the other laps as well, you can take on damage. So we'll show that in a little bit. If you hit things or things hit you, your tyres can burst. Also, you can have reliability problems with your engine. See, that probably would have resulted in a burst tyre there. So heading down the straight here, cars in front of me. You can hit the function keys, and you'll see me do this from time to time, which bring up different things at the top of the screen there. Currently got lap times up there, which is the most useful, but you can pull up all sorts of different things, including tyre wear and tyre temperature and all sorts of things. So you tend to kind of skip through those. There's only one view in the game, unlike Formula 1 Simulator, which is a later game. You can have replays. Oh dear. You can have replays where you can do from lots of different angles, but during the game itself you can only see the angle you're seeing now. That may seem rather limiting, but this was the first game of its type really in terms of 3D racing simulators, a real groundbreaker. It's a shame I can't see a way forcing this game to run. It might be the cracked version I'm using to run in CGA or EGA, because it might run a bit faster on this computer. Down the straight here now up to 29th. Oh dear, went off a bit there. It's very twitchy on the keyboard. The joystick would be much easier. This car could be much faster if I configured it properly. I've just taken some of the fuel out. And also I'm a bit rubbish. What I think I'll do is at some point in this video, I'll see if I can... This is obviously a real computer, a real Amstrad PC2086 with a NEC V30 processor. I'll see if I can... I've never really played around with DOSBox, but I'll see if we can get a little bit just to show what this will be like on a 286, because I'm imagining it's going to be a lot more playable. Obviously the frame rate's going to improve the gameplay massively if it's better. Oh, my fuel light started flashing there. I don't know why that is. I'm off the track again. Oh no, it should be with 5 laps to go. I've only put 10 laps. Oh! What on earth happened there? I was just minding my own business and someone smashed into me. Let's have a look at the replay. Let's get an angle where we can see what's going on. That's my car. I go off the circuit there, come back on. Minding my own business. Oh, he hit me! Well, I might have been turning left a bit there, but even so. Another rank. This is really nice. Again, this is revolutionary. I know you might have seen games like Hard Driving with replays, but nothing quite like this. So he's up behind me. Can I see? Well, okay, looking at the replay, I guess I was drifting back over to the left there. But even so, the computer cars never seem to make any attempt or make any adjustment compared to what is going on the track in front of them. They almost expect you to drive like a computer. Well, I forwarded it on just so we can get towards the end of the race, but the computer players haven't no real intelligence. They try and they just they just smash into you. They don't brake. They literally just come flying past you, and if you're in the way, they just smash into you in a way that can often take you out of the race quite near the end. So right, I'm on my last lap now. I'm pretty much last. All I've got to do is finish this lap. Out the corner. Just want to finish the race. Oh, I'm off again. Well, mind you, just probably a good idea just to avoid the computer races. Right, so I'm on my last lap. Oh, I think I've just run out of fuel. And you've also noticed that when you just sped past a car there, when the computer players crashed, and on the shorter races, they're not recovered from the track. On the longer races, when you're yellow flagged, you will have to slow down to 60 miles an hour until the other cars are recovered. But on the shorter races, they're just left on the track, which can result in absolute carnage. So I'm not going to finish this race. I'm just... Oh, someone's hit. You see, they just crash into you. It's just... Yeah. So, and I'm just going to show you what happens when the damage is on. So, we're racing along here, and I'm a bit reckless, and yeah, there you go. That's my right tyre out. And you can try and limp back to the pits with one tyre. It's very difficult. Sometimes you get two tyres out, and it's pretty much impossible. So, over to the Amiga. And, I mean, obviously here on the Amiga, we've got a sound chip built into the machine. On the PC, if you've got a Sound Blaster, yes, you get music as well, although obviously it's never going to be nice as the Amiga, especially in this age. Now, my Amiga 1200 here runs at 28 megahertz, and it's accelerated, and it has 64 meg of RAM. This is going to run fast. This is going to run... And here we go. This is what the game looks like. It's straight in race mode. It's lovely and beautifully smooth, but this is an accelerated Amiga. If you've got... And I'm going to turn the details up full now, actually, to full graphics. If you've got an Amiga 500... it'll be running about the same speed as we saw on that PC there. So this isn't, you know, it really depends on what Amiga you've got. And also notice here in the Amiga, we've got this horrible thing you get when you've got ported PC games and ST games as well. It's running at 320 by 200, so you've got that 56 pixel black gap at the bottom of the screen, which is a shame. I don't know why developers do this, although it's an American... Well, just had a thought actually. It's an American game, and of course the American Amigas run at 320 by 200. So, okay, I forgive it. I forgive it. It might not be a porting thing. It might be a and actually, I just had a thought actually. You can, of course, if you hold down both mouse buttons on an Amiga, a PAL Amiga 1200, you can turn it into an NTSC Amiga by clicking a button in that little boot menu screen, which would mean it would fill up all the screen. So I haven't obviously done that here, but you could do that, so you could get full screen graphics. So okay, anyway, here on the Amiga, it's pretty much exactly the same as the PC version, except you've got the audio, which you'd get on the PC as well if you had a sound card. On Amiga 500, it'll be running at the same speed as you saw on the PC there. On the Amiga 1200, and this Amiga 1200 is accelerated, it's running at about 16 frames a second, as far as I counted, which looks lovely and smooth compared to the PC version. I forwarded this on lap 7, so we can try and complete this race. Struggling along in position 26, I'm doing much better. It's much more controllable here on the Amiga because I've got the joystick as well. And the updated frame, the better frame rate rather, makes it easier to race. So the faster PC you have on the PC version, the better. Oh, that happened again. Here we are, lap 8, and someone just smashed into... Oh, again! Oh. And you hear tales of people doing the 200 race laps. Put this on the replay so we can see what happens. And with all the damage on, they get to lap 190 and the computer smashes into them. No, he made no attempt. He knew I was there. And there's no attempt... Oh... It's madness. They make no attempt to get out of the way. If you're in the way, tough luck. They are coming straight through. And it's frustrating because it's actually such a really good game. And you've got to forgive it as well because it is the first game of its type and AI hadn't really been developed at this stage. But it does mean you're a target. And I've just, for anyone in the way, I've forwarded this on to lap 9, so we're going to try and complete the race. I'm 25th. There was, I mean, yeah, cars littering the circuit there. Just missed that one. On to my last lap. I'm 1 lap. It took me so long, because these laps, they last just over a minute. It took me so long to get back on the track after that big crash that I'm a lap behind. Now, so far, we've seen the real hardware. That was a real Amstrad PC2086 with NEC V30 processor and a real Amiga 1200 with a 28 megahertz accelerator. And I know I keep on banging on about the real hardware because, believe it or not, there are still people watching some of these videos that think all this is done on emulation. Because the variations in hardware, what I want to do is show, using emulation, what this looks like on just a couple of different configurations. So I'm just going to run through this is the Amiga 500 version, how fast this runs on an Amiga 500. And here's the PC version. I'm hopefully going to run it on a roughly a 286 setup, hopefully, if I get DOSBox running. I'm talking about this without actually having seen this stuff because I'm going to do this after recording all the rest of this. So hopefully, from what I've seen, is that PC286 version should be absolutely ideal. And really, on Amiga 500, it runs very fast for a Amiga 3D game on that system, although the frame rate, again, you have the same problems as the PC version in terms of the speed. So, Indianapolis 500. It's a really fun game. And, okay, there's only one track. So, you know, you're going around in a circle. And that's it. The 3D world runs really well. You can scale back the graphics. I ran it on medium detail there on the PC. And it runs a little bit better. On the PC, if you've got a 286, I think that's probably the level you really need to be at to get a decent frame rate. And if you've got a Sound Blaster and all the other things and joystick, then it gets even better still. This isn't a game to really play on your 8086 or V30 processor, although it runs fine. The same applies to the Amiga version. You can run it on an Amiga 500, but really a 1200 or an accelerated Amiga, it runs far better. It's a really good simulation of Indianapolis 500, and especially if you enjoy fiddling around with car details and things, setting the cars up and spending time getting that car set up to get that optimum performance, you're really going to enjoy the game. I wouldn't necessarily sit down to a 200 lap race because I think that AI is going to really annoy you when you get to lap 190 and something smashes into you. But overall, Indianapolis 500 is a really fun game, a really good simulation, a trailblazing simulation in fact because of when it came out, and it really set the standard for games like Microprose Formula 1 that came later.